So I wanted to come out and publicly let everyone know that that was me in the video. After this video was published on TikTok, it went viral and news organizations wrote about me. And I honestly have no idea. I am simply baffled that this is possible. People found out where I work and they sent the video to my employer. I was then fired from my job, which I find to be extremely unfair. I did nothing wrong. Literally, I did nothing wrong.
I asked for extra ketchup.
We've reached the next phase of Karen call-out culture. Karen reacting to her call-out on her social media platform to explain why the pretty horrendous thing she did wasn't so bad after all. She did nothing wrong. Can't you clearly see that by this video where she slams her fast food down super aggressively in a service worker's face? I think this video, this woman's reaction to her being called out on social media, is actually pretty fascinating, and it brings up one of the real trigger points of our cultural climate. Does someone deserve to lose their job and their livelihood for one of these awful outbursts? It's obvious. Her behavior is disgusting, and she clearly isn't even sorry, and yet I don't think she necessarily deserves to be fired. That is, assuming her job is something typical of average Americans and she's not like a political figure or in any leadership role in some way. Because whether you agree with me or not, someone's livelihood shouldn't be taken away based on a video that goes viral. People, even awful people, need livable wages. Because here's the logic that flows when you say that certain people do not deserve a living wage.
Well, I mean, first of all, the wage to cost of living gap would not exist in the absence of regulation and subsidy, at least not nearly as much. The reason that you have massive inflation right now is, again, because of left-wing financial policy.
We, the people of the internet, cannot and should not be arbiters of who deserves a living wage and who doesn't, because it opens the door to selective arguments about who then deserves a good salary, which leads to nonsense like this Ben Shapiro idea that there isn't even such thing as a living wage.
It tends to be that wages move in tandem with costs, generally speaking, because, again, there is no such thing as a non-living wage. Nobody dies on their wage. And that is not a thing that happens inside the United States. This is why when people say living wage, the question is, well, what do you mean by a non-living wage? Do you just mean a wage that you don't think is high enough? And for what job? And what does the market look like?
Nobody dies on their wage. That's a real thing that Ben Shapiro said and definitely believes, and it could not be further from the truth or more removed from material economics. Many people live and die based on their wages. In this video, the service worker maybe, but also it's possible that this Karen does too. What I will say unequivocally is that service workers deserve to be paid much more than they are for dealing with awful human beings like this. But we can champion the right of service workers pushing back on this disgusting Ben Shapiro claim while acknowledging that service workers are also human beings who make mistakes. What I'm getting at is that it's possible that this Karen is also a service worker who, like it or not, I believe also deserves a living wage. That's what separates us on the left from people like Ben Shapiro. We can see beyond human frailty to understand that we are all deserving of a wage, precisely because we see wages as a matter of life and death, because they are. Economic and wage insecurity leads to a litany of interpersonal issues like anxiety, depression, suicide. And again, I'm not excusing her behavior, but consider that she is facing economic insecurity as well. That being said, I think we can all agree that after this crazy interaction, this food service worker definitely deserves a raise. For more of my videos on the breakdown, stay right here. You can watch my video on the Los Angeles Police Department cops being confronted over their undercover operations by clicking on the link in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. You can follow me on all platforms at Caro Johnson 917.